Grief is in everything, um, and so many um, transformations of life and transitions. And I just feel like there are a lot of people suffering alone in grief that don't even realize that their suffering is grief. And
Fits right in with what I'm now stepping into after much loss through my life in many different forms, physical and people and animals and jobs. I've felt guided to start helping others. And I've always felt like the one spot that gets lost is when you're getting ready to take that next step. It seems like all your support is gone. So I was so excited to have
The big one that I seem to be getting over and over is identity. Because they've spent however many months, weeks, whatever it happens to be, purely caring for the child. Child passes, and then they're standing there like, I don't even know, like, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I? So identity seems to that one seems to be smacking me in the head.
and step them into when they're ready to move forward what my next program is.
Pulled me in. Today, ironically, by the grace of God, today would have been my granddaughter's 10th birthday. She passed away when she was 2.5. What Abby just said resonated with me because I remember when we lost her, the social worker was there, but we didn't have that grief component. We had to figure out where to go. We didn't have it when we lost her. So when I saw the
really came into my awareness after 2020. There were just so many losses. I lost my dad in 21 unexpectedly, and the myriad of additional losses that kind of came after that just really, knocked me off my feet. So I just said, I gotta learn, and I need some help, and I do help.
Lots of emotions, lots of feelings. We all refer to our new normal, right? Which also is your new identity. So it's hard to say, it's really hard to say for me which one really resonates the most. It's probably my identity because I've continually had to find my feet again. It feels like,
Capacity is essentially, it expands and it contracts. And as soon as I hear these terms, I think of our lungs expanding and contracting. We're breathing. And grief, there's a lot of times I don't know how I'm going to take another breath. I don't know how I'm going to do that because I'm hurting so bad. And as their coach, as their facilitator, we need to know how to recognize and respond to the expansions and the contractions and know where they are at during those time frames.
Even if you're not in the faithful mindset, being in that uncertainty in this society, in this time right now, everybody wants the answers. There's something happened and we want an answer and we want a solution. And I think giving permission, like Stephanie said, to just be in that unknown and just absorb that and say, some kind of faith in that we don't need the answers. We just need to be in the present moment and get through it, have the permission to get through it at our pace. And if we,
but because from my own personal experience in dealing with the loss of my son, that was something that was missing in terms of going through the grief process. So,
and sometimes that can be detrimental. Don't make choices. There's that mile. You got to sit still to be able to move through those other miles of choice and recognizing emotion. There's so many emotions that can be true at the same time, and if you're not still, you can't figure that out. And sometimes we're forced to move when we know we're not ready, and it's important to understand that we're doing our best with what we have to work with.
Another thing that I really loved about this is having permission to be uncertain. And I love the word honor. It says uncertainty is honored. And I think that's really a beautiful thing. a lot of times we want to know exactly where we're going, or we feel like we should know, we should feel, and not knowing, not feeling is actually something that can be honored. And something else that stuck with me is that sometimes it seems like you can easily get stuck if you don't know, so you just don't move forward at all. And here it talks about, life can continue even if things don't make sense.
Identified some things that I've gone through, and I was thinking about it when you were talking about it, especially the choice. The choice. You can make choices about, do you want to go forward, or do you just want to stay here and listen just for a while to make sure it's right for you? But I just wanted to share with you guys that when
I've changed careers multiple times and had a lot of outside opinions, just let me put it that way. But so it's like you've got to work maybe through all of the steps too to help you find that new path, that new identity. And it's a continual working the process, I feel like, if that makes sense.
It gives her a little bit of purpose in the midst of this to be able to start having things lined up already, so that when the child does pass away, that she's not stuck with the 200 plus decisions they have to make in that first 24 to 48 hours.
I feel like, summarizing, it's kind of, your world's changed, and everything that you have believed, maybe not everything, but at least something. Sometimes it's everything that you believe to be true. Maybe you're questioning it, or you're even finding yourself not believing that anymore. Thinking of the different people that I've worked with, it talks about, even like having doubts about, your spiritual beliefs, and just not being sure. I feel like going through this, a lot of people who are grieving, and I've been there myself, there's a lot of guilt with things that you question, that you don't know. And I just feel like this is so beautiful in that it lets you feel. It lets you be unsure. The smile, you are unsure. It's okay if you're unsure. It's okay if you're questioning. Many times people feel guilty in questioning. This smile gives you permission to question. And
personally, if I'm referring to my own journey through grief, I'm continually trying to figure out my own identity. 1, 2, I may go through all of these other miles to still come back to and work through these miles so that I can still come back to what is my identity now. Not only that, being able to, there's a lot of criticism when you're trying to find your new identity from the outside.
Anticipatory grief. I deal with a lot of people who are, with people, because I'm a death doula. Like, for instance, I'm on my way to work tonight. I have someone who is dying. And as soon as I get there, me and his mom talk.
You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to question what once felt certain. You are allowed to step back from meaning making, and you're allowed to sit with uncertainty.
The big thing with the identity, honestly, is they don't really know exactly what's going on. And because they don't know what's going on, they don't know how to deal with it. So at least if you have an idea about the way you feel, or the way you think, or the way you are going through your day, you can kind of figure out how to move on or work around it. Most of the time, what you get is, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel different, but I don't know why. I used to be happy and now I'm indifferent, or whatever the case might be, right?
because he cared about me so much. So, and it's the other thing is that it reminds me of how I was going to heal my own self, and because I was in a real deep scenario, because I lost my best friend and my husband and everything. And then, well, the Lord just told me, find somebody. And I did. I found Dora. And she put challenges on me. And I wrote a book, Planted to Bloom Again. a little book.
Comfort. And I love that, love that word honor. But again, you're not leading them somewhere.
Right.
You are holding sacred space for them. And that is such a gift.
Yeah.
For you, for us and whoever we're working with. So
I feel like our identity immediately changes in that moment. And I feel like identity is such a huge nucleus. It's the first thing that I have chills actually that changes when we get that moment, that information, that call, and how important it is for us as facilitators in this program to capture that and understand that with the people that we're working with, and that they are changed from that phone call, from that moment on, and to walk next to them during that time.
Framework and start it up again. It's my passion, but when I had a passion, no one else had it like I had it. So, and I said, no, they're not ready for this. So now they're calling for it. So yeah, I had
Other life changes that could cause one's identity to come into question. Some of the things that you might realize or begin to feel, you feel different. Your old roles and labels no longer fit. You don't feel comfortable around your friends. You're not sure of where you belong or even if you belong. In this process, the good thing is that you don't have to figure out who you are right now. The key is to allow yourself to be where you are and feel what you are feeling. It's not it's not a time to try to figure these things out. Just be present in the moment with your feelings.
It's about the moments, the quiet, subtle moments, and the nudges that we start to receive slowly as we begin down our path of peace, and the permission to try to look forward, and slowly beginning to open our hearts to what lies ahead, but without feeling that pressure to make big life-altering decisions. We don't need to make big life choices, but acknowledging.
I think I don't have it today, but it can look like, for people who are not familiar, it can look like resistance. It can look like avoidance. It can feel like we're failing our families, the people that we're closest to, and then the judgment that comes along with that. Pauses often to protect what is still integrating. So I will be pausing personally until my last breath, because there's something that's continually integrating. There's all these milestones in our lives, not only the miles that we are going to be facilitating on, but milestones, weddings, birthdays, funerals, anniversaries. So all of those things, we have to pause to let them integrate into our own lives. And like you were explaining, we need to adjust to those paces, the expansions and the contractions. We take a breath in, they contract.